I'm going to give you 14 players who could surprise us in Week 13, who could be our sneaky start of the week. That player that we're putting in our flex spot, that we're closing our eyes on, hoping that they go boom on us. We do this off and on throughout the season. We have to start players we don't want to start. We have to take gambles because there's no one else to put in. So I'm going over the matchups here one by one, game by game, looking at opportunities in each game to see which player can exceed expectations, which player can be that sneaky start, which player can have that blow-up week. Obviously, most of these are not expected to hit, but they are suggestions from a game-by-game standpoint. But let's dig in on the first matchup. The first game we're looking at here is the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. We got a 46.5 over-under in this game. And the player I'm going to be looking at here as a sneaky start is David Bell. He has seen a 60.2% snap share in his last 3 games and 16 targets. Also caught 11 balls for 69 yards. David Njoku's out. Deshaun Watson's in. We do not know how the targets are going to be distributed here, but the Texans, you can throw the ball on them a little bit. David Bell will be on the field a little bit. Looks like 60% of the time. There could be more opportunities here, better targets. Could be a chance for him to produce. Looking at our next matchup here, Denver Broncos at the Baltimore Ravens, 39.5 over under. Very low point total here, but the player we're going to be looking at as the sneaky star is Kendall Hinton, wide receiver of Denver Broncos, 17 targets in his last 3 games, catching 12 balls for 154 yards. Baltimore is allowing 249 passing yards per game. Courtland Sutton's battling illness. Jerry Jeudy is questionable. Returned to practice on Friday, but there could be still some opportunity for Hinton. Going forward to our next game here that we're going to cover is the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. We got a 45 over under, and the sneaky play here might be Darrynton Evans of the Chicago Bears, running back. Saw 10 targets last week, along with a 33% opportunity share. David Montgomery's the guy there. He's not usurping him, but there's a chance, considering Green Bay is allowing 135 rushing yards per game, that with this touch load of 10 or so a game, that he might be able to pop off a few runs, get some opportunities, might be able to give us some extra fantasy points or more than expected. Also, you want to think about this. Green Bay's ranking 4th against the pass, which means Green Bay's a little bit of a run funnel, which means Chicago should be pushing the run game a little bit more, considering there's more opportunity for the run game compared to the passing game. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Detroit Lions. 51 over under. This is supposed to be a high scoring game, high flying fantasy point total game here. And the player we're going to be looking at is Khalif Raymond, wide receiver of the Detroit Lions. He's second on the team in targets in the last 3 weeks with 16. Both teams give up a lot of passing yards. This should be a shootout, so this could be an opportunity for Raymond to exceed expectations. Next game we're going to be looking at here, New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. We've got a 44.5 over under here, and the player I want to focus on is Corey Davis. Mainly, people are going to be looking at Elijah Moore. People are going to be looking at Garrett Wilson. Davis, though, ran 23 routes last week and a 68.3% snap share. Just saw 3 targets, but Minnesota is allowing 276 passing yards per game, ranks 32nd against the pass. Could be some opportunities. Some balls could be going Davis's way, and we might be getting more production than expected. The next game we're looking at now is Pittsburgh Steelers at the Atlanta Falcons. 42.5 over under. The player I'm focusing on here is Drake London, wide receiver of the Falcons. Not a super sneaky start, considering he's one of the top players for the Falcons, but he hasn't been hitting since the beginning of the season. He has a 93% route participation rate in his last 3 games, had 13 targets in that span. Kyle Pitts is out for the season, so there's going to be more opportunities going his way. Steelers are allowing 272 passing yards per game, so London might have his boom week this week, considering this is a softer matchup. And there should be a lot of targets going his way in the passing game. The next matchup we're going to be talking about is the Tennessee Titans at the Philadelphia Eagles. A.J. Brown revenge game. 44 over under. And we're going to be looking at Quez Watkins, wide receiver of the Eagles. 5 targets last week. played on 82% of the snaps. Tennessee ranks 30th against the pass. Quez has speed to burn, can get you yards after the catch, can also get you some air yards too if they want to use them downfield. So there could be a chance that Watkins explodes on us. This next game here that we're going to talk about isn't too sexy, but you never know what can happen. It's Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. 40.5 over under, and we're going to be focusing on Jahan Dotson, rookie wide receiver for the Commanders. And the thing about him is he has a 72.5 route participation rate in his last 2 games. The New York Giants are allowing 216 passing yards per game. This could be a spot where ancillary targets on Washington's passing attack could be receiving targets or some extra opportunities, and Jahan Dotson could be on the fold for that, considering New York's only allowing 200 and some passing yards a game, a little stiffer against the pass. So sometimes when a team's stiffer against the pass, sometimes the wide receiver 3 will get an extra target or 2, the wide receiver 2, or the tight end. So we could be looking at that with Jahan Dotson here. To the next game, Miami Dolphins at the San Francisco 49ers, 46.5 over under. This could be a high scoring game, or it could be an ugly one as well, because this is a fun matchup, and I want to watch this one. But we're going to be looking at Trent Sherfield of the Miami Dolphins, played in 62.8% of the snaps in his last 2 games. 10 targets as well. 49ers rank 11th against the pass. This could be another opportunity here where we see a player receive targets due to their ancillary role. The wide receiver 3 or 4 get some extra opportunities. You know, the first, the second reads covered here against this tight pass defense, and we check it downfield, or whatever to the ancillary targets in the passing game. And this could be Trent Sherfield, who has been getting some work lately. The next game we're focusing on, Seattle Seahawks at the Rams. 41 over under. This is probably going to be an ugly game. We're going to be looking at Kyren Williams, running back for the Rams, playing 70% of the snaps last week. Only running back the run routes on the team last week with 21, with 14 total touches. Seattle is allowing 140 rushing yards per game, but that doesn't mean anything because the Rams offensive line is dead. They're starting John Wolford. So this is ugly, but it's ugly all around. So Williams could be a sneaky play to exceed expectations, considering he is projected to score like 8 to 9 fantasy points in this contest from other fantasy websites. Looking at this next contest, money printer go burr in this game, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs at the Cincinnati Bengals. 53 over under. Vegas is just telling us, hey, you guys better watch this game because this one's going to be a fun one. So we're going to focus on Sky Moore, wide receiver for the Chiefs. I know they just came out saying that they want to use him more in just punt return duties, kick return duties, but he has seen 12 targets in his last 2 games. That news also indicates that he could be a sneaky play. 10 catches in those 2 games, 44% snap rate. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Pretty much if you're on the field for the Chiefs running routes, you are a sneaky start or a guy you must be starting. We have a West Coast game to look at here. LA Chargers versus the Vegas Raiders. 49.5 over under. And the guy I want to look at here is DeAndre Carter for the Chargers. 10 targets last week. Mike Williams is out. Could be some opportunity in this game, expecting to be a higher point total. We're also expecting a high-scoring game here with the Raiders. On to the Sunday night game where we have a weird contest with the Indianapolis Colts at the Dallas Cowboys. We could see Jonathan Taylor go off against Dallas's suspect run defense. However, we're looking at sneaky starts here. So let's roll over to Alec Pierce, wide receiver of the Indianapolis Colts. We know who's getting the ball in the run game, so there's no one really sneaky there. But Pierce is the wide receiver 3 or so for the Colts against the number 1 pass defense. So that could create opportunities for him since they have to go through their progressions a little bit more. Plus, he gets air yards, deep targets, so they may need to take some shots downfield. This could be an opportunity for him to exceed expectations. This isn't a projection. We're just trying to guess who exceeds their projections. On to the Monday night game. We have the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Bucks. 40.5 over under. Expect to be a low-scoring game. And really, the run game, you know who's getting the ball. Passing game, top guys, you know who's getting the ball. So looking at an ancillary target, let's look at Julio Jones for Tampa Bay. 9 targets last 2 games. starting to look healthy, a 71% route participation rate. New Orleans Saints are allowing 195 passing yards per game lately. However, Tampa Bay has averaged 240 passing yards in their last 3 contests against the Saints. So we could have the over hit in this game. It's set at 40, or it could be an ugly contest as well. But again, Julio Jones, sneaky start for this week. But let me know in the comments, who is that rando player that you have to throw in your lineups this week? You're hurting. You got to throw him in flex. You got to try and get by. Closing your eyes, hoping that they can get you at least a 10 spot. You'll be happy with an 8 spot as long as they don't give you a 0. Maybe you're in a deeper league and you're doing this every so often. Maybe 14, 16, 20 team league. Let me know who's your pain point this week that you got to start. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. It's only going to help you going forward. Stash plays, waiver wire pickups, trades, must starts, sneaky starts, off the wall content. It's all right here. But I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.